You thought you could just go on Twitter, be this guru overnight. Nah, man, you gotta put the work in, baby. You gotta study, partner. You gotta take some bumps and bruises, man.
So, okay, this is backtesting, right? And this is something that retail investors should do a lot more of, because I hope I don't offend anyone by saying this. 99% of your strategies are terrible. Like they will never make money long term. And the backtester is a way to tell you that and to help you figure out how to make it profitable, right? And there's nothing easier than this. When we have a part of our business that's institutional clients. Kathy Woods is a client. ARC uses this backtester quite a bit. They gave us permission to tell people that, right? There's a ton of other institutions. The one thing they all have in common, the people that pay us big bucks to use TrendSpider, they're paying like $500 a user a month, right? They spend all their time in the backtester, right? Like it is the one thing that is so unique about TrendSpider that they can't even do it themselves if they have engineers coding. This is well beyond anything Bloomberg could do. Like this is truly best in class, also patented. In the backtester, you define your entry condition on the left, right? So that's this. This is the Turtle Traders Danchin channel crawl strategy, by the way. That's the bot that I'm running. If you see me posting on Twitter about a bot I'm running, this is the conditions for it. These are the exact entry and exit conditions. I'm running it on TQQQ, not SPXL, but I'll show you what it looks like on TQQ. It's been getting destroyed, so don't copy this. When you give it your entry and exit conditions and you push run, it will calculate what would have happened if you traded in that way, going back to inception. In this case, it's 26 months, but I can make it go further, and I can also define specific dates to test between. Right. And when I run this test, it calculates what would have happened had I traded exactly like this, following my rules to a T. Right. And then I can understand that strategy and improve it. The first thing we're going to look at is up here in the top right corner, the tabular data. This is giving you all the statistics that you would care about, right? And we built this for one of our institutional clients, right? So a lot of these are things like Sortino ratios, CAGRs, right? These are like hedge fund ratios that you get here, right? And when it highlights something in green, it's telling you that it doesn't suck, but not that it's good. If it highlights something in red, it's telling you this sucks and it will never make money long term. So keep an eye on that, right? If you see red backgrounds here, we called it a no-go flag. Just abandon it or work to improve it. Don't trade it. If you see green, don't blindly trade it, but it has potential, right? Cool. Yeah, so and that's based on mathematical certainty. Like if you see red here, it means you trade this enough for a long enough period of time, you're going to zero and you're going to lose all your money, right? Like the math just does not work out long term, even if it might look profitable in the short term. So then you have these charts, right? This blue area is your equity curve of your buy and sell strategy, right? So this is the results of all your trading. If you trade 1 unit per trade and you never run out of money, right? Those are the two core assumptions that underpin the backtester. Most backtesters, not just this one, but that's important to know. At the bottom, you have 41% winners, 59% losers, yet it's still beating buy and hold over a long enough period of time. And these dots represent the distribution of all the trades. So if you have like a cluster, like a big cluster here, and like one trade over here, you know, an outlier is throwing you off. Here it's pretty evenly distributed, so it's not bad. If you click on the chart legend here, you can add stuff to the chart, like our drawdown, right? Like the drawdown of the asset. And if you hide the equity curve and check positions, you can see when you were in a trade in the buy and hold line, and if that trade made money, right? Green is a trade that made money, red is a trade that lost, gray is you're chilling on the bleachers, right? So this is a way to actually visualize what happened within your strategy. And it's really useful. Like I look at this a lot and I'm like, wow, I just get chopped at highs, right? Like I just get murdered at the highs all the time. Right. So then I go in my strategy and I maybe try to filter out buying at the highs by saying, don't buy if RSI is over 80 or something like that. Right. But this gives you a lot of info that you can use to then go in and optimize what you're doing. Right. This chart does. This chart gives you even more info. Right. And this is a good example too. Right. So this is proprietary. You won't find this anywhere else. And this is called the Price Behavior Explorer. And what we have here is a strategy that ran for 3 years of historical data and traded 271 times. You can see that at the bottom, with a mean trade return of 0.22%. So how do we optimize this, right, to make it perform better? It's a good question, right? A lot of people wouldn't know where to start. This gives you a place to start. But before you can do that, you got to understand how to read this. At the bottom, the axis is candles from entry. Your entry is this red vertical line. So right here is 41 candles after entry, 40 candles after entry. The average return at this point is like 6.5%, right? So the green cloud and the red cloud are what you want to pay attention to. In fact, I'm going to hide these lines so you can just see these two clouds, right? The red cloud represents every trade that ended at the end of the trade with a monetary loss. And the green cloud is every trade that ended profitably. The overlap between these two is really important, because what can you do right around here, right? This is where you put your stop loss, right? You put your stop loss about 1.85% down from entry, right? And what do you do up here? Well, some trades get up here, right? But then they tend to pull back. And if you add this view to it, you can see what that looks like. The triangles indicate closure, right? The dots indicate just prices moving. So you can see that there's like trades that made it this far, right, and are down here. So you might say, if a trade gets up above 14%, take profit, right? So we can just go down here, click add stop loss, click add take profit. What did we say? 1.85 for the stop loss, and what was it, like 13% for the take profit? No, we returned 52% here. Let's see if we do better, right? Run it and give it a minute to process. And we do a lot better. You see how that changed?
Boom.
Right? Yeah. And all that we did is we eyeballed the price behavior explorer chart, and we said we're going to capture some profits up here, and we're going to cut our losses down here, because there's no point. Anything that goes lower than that always ends in a loss. This is the easiest way to optimize a strategy in the world. And it's unbelievably flexible. You saw how easy that was to do, right? Like, it didn't take any real skills. I didn't even have to look at these numbers, right? I just had to look at a couple charts and add some stop losses to it, right? But this is something that anybody can do, right? So you can have multiple technical entries. You can also, if you generate signals outside of TrendSpider, like maybe use Glassnode for on-chain analytics or something, you can upload a list of those signals as timestamps and see how they would have actually performed, right? Wow. So before you depend on some third-party system, you can test it, right? And if you like a strategy here, right, and you want to see if it'll work on other assets better or other timeframes better or anything like that, you also have this new feature called Variance Explorer on the top right here. So I'll save this. And the Variance Explorer allows you to select multiple strategies if you want, right? Multiple timeframes if you want, right? Like this one was built for 30 minutes, so maybe we'll just test it on 15, 30, and 45. Multiple depths, right? Like I want to go back far though, so I'm not going to do that. And multiple symbols, right? So you can add like a bunch of leverage ETFs, since that's what this is built in, right? Maybe we'll add one more, Lab D. That's going to be a weird outlier. And when I hit compute here, it's going to create like a bunch of different permutations of these, right? Every combination of them. And it's going to do all the math, right? And then I can be like, hey, right, this is net performance of my strategy. Where did I do best? Well, I actually did best on TQQQ 15-minute, right? Not 30-minute like this was designed for. Right. And down here, I have a bunch of these scatter plot charts that I can adjust. Right. So if I want to look at this data in a variety of ways, like using any of those backtesting metrics, I can do that. Right. So this is really cool. This is an institutional grade thing. Right. You won't find this ever in any retail tool. The only people I've seen who actually have learned how to use this are full-time professional quant traders who work at a hedge fund. Right, but we give it to everybody, right? And if you want to play with it, I definitely recommend it, because it gives you a way to like explore a strategy across a basket of symbols. And
you have You have no idea how frustrating this is because I've spent thousands of hours doing this by hand. And this is like the original like origin of like rainbow theory and rainbow trends is I was like, there's like 200 indicators all these people on crypto Twitter and all these websites talk about, and these guys are clearly not making right signals. So I literally back tested like 200 indicators because I was like, if the indicators are real, they'll back test. And I did it all by hand, and I came back and said like 2% actually have signal. The other 98% look amazing in hindsight.
2% is good.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, because people asked me like, what was it? I was like, man, like the outlier of all of them, like the only one that was like in everyone's mind, like knows about it and actually backtest well was like RSI. I was like, everything else was like really off the map. And the amount of bots that I do like on the side, like the amount of time frames, like you're showing it here, 30, 15, all these things, it's like, son of a, because I have to do all that by hand. But that's awesome.
So this is new. It's computationally very heavy on the background. But it's one of those capabilities. Like if I want to level the playing field for real, right? Like this is the kind of stuff it takes. You can download this.
You're gonna have to find somebody who can show this. Like,
yeah, that's been a challenge. Training sales guys here is not easy. It takes 6 months to learn the product.
Oh, for sure. Because yeah, this is.
So, a couple final things, and then I will finally be free to be shut up, and I'll take whatever questions anybody has. Once you've built a strategy in TrendSpider, right, you can take the back test and convert it to a forward test by launching it as a bot, right? So launching it as a bot means launching it as a bot. It takes your strategy and runs it in real time with real market data as it's happening. And a bot can act as a bidirectional position aware alert. So it can let you know, it can post to Twitter, it can post to Discord, it can trade on your behalf using our signal stack and routing stuff. It can do all kinds of stuff. And bots are awesome if you have a technical strategy that you just want to trade and you don't want to get in your own way. Here's an example of what a bot looks like. This is a real bot that's trading real money in a real Schwab account, right? That's following that exact strategy I just showed you, right? The Donchain channel crawl thing, right? I just launched it yesterday. It entered immediately, lost money, chopped up. Entered immediately, lost money. So far it's 0 for 2, right? But I didn't do anything here. It's doing it all on its own.
That's amazing because it's hard to connect backends, like for normal users.
Yes. And I can look at my bots here. So I can open a sidebar. This is the TQQ bot that's running. If I click info on it, it's going to tell me the last signals it issued and its current status. The bot's active, but it's not currently in a position.
Is that position verified that the exchange took it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's not in a position right now, right? But when it was in a position, these trades were real. I saw them show up in Schwab's website.